Joining me now for more on this, RNC National Spokesperson and Director of Black Media Affairs, Paris Dennard. Good to see you again, Paris. So you guys are in a pretty good position here. What kind of reception do you think the president will get from Republicans tomorrow? There's a lot going on.
I think if Joe Biden goes before the House chamber and presents more of his radical, liberal, progressive agenda that has not worked for the past 12 months, Republicans in the chamber are not going to be in agreement with it because the American people are not in agreement with it. Your poll shows it. The RNC conducted a poll with the Terrence Group, and that poll showed that actually 55% of independents are not in agreement with what Joe Biden is doing in terms of his disapprovals. And so he has a tall order because the rhetoric that he's going to be spouting off is not going to match the reality for so many Americans, whether you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, rich, poor, from the north, south, east, or the west. Things are bad. The State of the Union is not strong, and the American people know it. And no matter what he says, it's not going to change the fact that the reality for most Americans is that this State of the Union under his leadership is not good.
What we're also looking at, of course, is Ukraine, Paris. And if anything, this seems like a time of unity, is it not?
It should be a time for unity for democracy. It should be a time for unity for strong leadership from the American president. But unfortunately, what we've seen is weak leadership from the American president.
How so, Paris?
A lot of people that I've talked to, weak leadership in the sense that he actually admitted, meaning Joe Biden, the president, actually admitted that everyone knew that sanctions weren't going to deter or have an impact on Putin. So then if you knew that, then why did you do them, one? And then two,
well, they seem to be working now, Paris, and they seem to be having an impact anyway. What should he have done?
What he should have done is shown American leadership from the beginning and acted a lot sooner. He should have never given Russia the green light to advance their pipeline for oil. He should have never gotten rid of the Keystone pipeline, which hurt us from an American standpoint economically, being more dependent upon foreign sources of oil, which benefit Russia. So there's many things that he could have done. American leadership starts with the American president, and we have not seen that. He is leading from behind, and Europe is taking the lead on the leadership role.
Well, Europe supported, you know, Paris, that Europe supported Nord Stream 2. They wanted us to butt out.
You know what? American leadership under President Trump would have stood fast and never allowed that to happen. That's what America First agenda means. It means doing what is in the best interest of the American people. And giving a green light for energy going into Russia is not good for the American people, and it is proven not to be a good thing for the rest of the country, of the nation, right, especially the Ukraine.
Yeah, and for the record, Nord Stream 2 is now on hold, thanks to Germany and the U.S. agreeing with that decision now. We'll see what happens moving forward, and we'll see what happens tomorrow at the State of the Union. We're having some audio issues with you, Paris, but it's always good to have you, my friend. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.